Ever wonder what $5,000 worth of medications for IVF looks like? Well, today I'm going to go over our giant box of medications that got delivered to our house. It is already open. I've actually been on them for 2 days already, but we'll just go over what you can expect, the types of medications, and what they're used for a frozen embryo transfer and egg retrieval cycle. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Jess. I am a certified nurse midwife and infertility mom. And if you want to thumbs up, like, and subscribe, you can follow me on my IVF journey. We're just getting started. Tonight is going to be night 3 of stimulation medications as we prepare for egg retrieval. We live in Washington. The reproductive endocrinologist I'm seeing is in Arizona, and our medications actually came from a pharmacy in Nebraska. And most of the time, if you are ordering infertility medications from some type of online pharmacy, they're going to be shipped from somewhere out of state. When we were seeing a reproductive endocrinologist in Washington, they still got shipped from out of state. I think they were getting shipped from Oregon at that point. But most of the time, your reproductive endocrinologist is going to have pharmacies that they work with regularly, and that will give you discounts because they're like a preferred provider with their pharmacy. 99% of fertility meds are not going to be covered by insurance. You're going to be paying out of pocket for most of these, and that's what makes it so expensive. But like the pharmacy that they had us work with, like because my reproductive endocrinologist works with that pharmacy so much, we get a 25% discount just because that's who we're with. There are programs out there that you can apply for. Usually you need last year's tax information to apply, but they do offer income-based discounts. And fortunately, but unfortunately, we made too much to qualify for those. So we're just happy to have any amount of savings because, after 25% savings, we still paid, it was around $5,100 for all of these medications. So in the top of our box, we had a couple of freezer packs. There were medications that needed to keep cold, and primarily this is just Follistim, and that's one of the initial medications you're going to take to help stimulate your ovaries to grow extra eggs and extra follicles. So there's lots of ice packs, several boxes of the Follistim cartridges, and then they also come with a pen to inject them. And it came with this nifty little carrying pack, but there's a pen that I can use to put them in. It's a lot like an insulin pen, and then needles used to inject it. And then I've got a couple of leftover Follistim cartridges. And something that's interesting that my nurse at our office told us is that they overfill them. So this cartridge is 300 IUs, but my nightly dosage is only 225. And she told me save all of the extra. They're going to actually suck it out and still administer it to me at some point. So that way I'm not having to pay for extra Follistim cartridges, which I thought was nice because it's really expensive. So I put those medications in the fridge, but we are going to hang on to these boxes because I am still going to be on Follistim when we fly to Phoenix, and we are going to need to keep the medications cold on the airplane. So we're going to put them back in the box, and then we have insulated travel bags to get them through the airport. The other medication that I've already started taking is called Menopur. It says menotropins for injection, and what that translates to is it's like follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So I'm also already injecting this medication nightly to help stimulate my ovaries to make more eggs. So after a few days of being on Menopur and Follistim, then I'm going to add Ganirelix at some point, which is a medication that's going to help keep me from ovulating. So as we're stimulating the ovaries with follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone to make extra eggs, we don't want them to prematurely ovulate. We want all of those eggs to ovulate at the same time. So in an attempt to control that, I believe on day 5, I'm going to add Ganirelix every morning. And all of these medications are subcutaneous injections. So it's just into the belly fat. None of them are intramuscular, so they're not super painful. They're all very tolerable. The next medication is Leuprolide, which is the name brand is Lupron. And this was one of those medications that before I was on board with doing IVF, I was like, I'm never going to take Lupron. They're not going to talk me into that. I'm going to, fight with them about it. And then once I felt at peace with doing IVF, I was just like, it is what it is. I'm going to take it. It's a medication that's got a bit of a history. It's been used and is currently used for a few unsavory practices. And a lot of women have had some really terrible side effects with it. But it's short term. It is what it is. It's the most effective medication to get the job done. I believe this is used to help trigger ovulation. I'm 99% sure it's used to help trigger ovulation in conjunction with Pregnyl. And then it is also going to be used to help prep for my frozen and transfer cycle later. Which then brings me to Pregnyl, which is human chorionic gonadotropin, which is the same pregnancy hormone you test for when you pee on a stick to check if you're pregnant. And conveniently, HCG can trigger ovulation. So once we have been suppressing the ovaries from ovulating, but encouraging to make eggs, if we give a big shot of Pregnyl, we know that that will cause ovulation. I think it's approximately 36 hours or so after you give it. And this one is an intramuscular injection, but fortunately, that's the only intramuscular injection we have to do for egg retrieval. And then finally, we have progesterone in oil. These are going to be intramuscular injections, but I won't be doing them until we are actually ready for embryo transfer. We are doing a frozen embryo transfer, so there is going to be a significant delay between egg retrieval and embryo transfer, just because we've had multiple pregnancy losses and we want those embryos to go off to an embryologist to be tested and have that pre-implantation genetic testing, just to ensure that we are transferring healthy, genetically normal embryos. So progesterone is a hormone that your body naturally makes in your menstrual cycle after you've ovulated. Once you ovulate, there's a cyst that forms on your ovary called a corpus luteum cyst that secretes progesterone for about 2 weeks to tell your body like, hey, we're waiting to see if we're pregnant. And then if you don't have an embryo that implants to start secreting that HCG, the human chorionic gonadotropin, at the end of your cycle, the corpus luteum dissolves and then you stop making progesterone and you get a period. So because we're doing, a sort of artificially stimulated cycle, you have to start taking the progesterone and oil before frozen embryo transfer. And then if you are pregnant, you have to continue it until the placenta is able to take over and make progesterone for your pregnancy. And so I believe it's about 10 weeks of pregnancy is how long they'll have you do it. So it's a long time of daily intramuscular injections. I'm not looking forward to that, but I will upload a video with tips and tricks about how to make that more tolerable when we get to that point in our IVF process. So those are all of the medications that they sent us. They also sent us a lot of supplies too. So, and fortunately they labeled everything. So like there's syringes and alcohol wipes to mix and inject the Menopur. There's another whole package of syringes and alcohol wipes used to draw and inject the progesterone. And fortunately they also sent us Sharps container. And we had one from doing IUI that we're already using that we're going to use up first before we start using this one. And then finally, oral medications that were not actually shipped from the pharmacy, we just picked these up from our regular pharmacy, are antibiotics, which I will start after egg retrieval just because the way eggs are retrieved is via a needle through the vaginal wall. It's just to prevent infection. My husband actually is already on these same antibiotics, which I suspect is to prevent any like STDs from infecting the embryology lab, even though, we've both been tested as part of this process and know that we don't have gonorrhea or chlamydia. I just know that this is the antibiotic used for chlamydia. So I suspect that's why they're making him take it. And then they also sent prednisone, which is a steroid. And I'm assuming, I don't actually know about this one yet. I'm assuming I'm going to take it after egg retrieval to help with inflammation. So that's everything that was in our box. We had Follistim, Menopur, Lupron, Pregnyl, Ganirelix, and the progesterone and oil for our frozen transfer cycle, and all of the supplies that go with them. So I actually panicked pretty bad when this box arrived at our house. Everything happened really quickly. We got the call that we were supposed to get ready to, buy plane tickets to fly to Phoenix, and we were getting ready for egg retrieval. And that day, the pharmacy called and said, hey, we're getting ready to go into a weekend. We want to make sure you have all your medications on time. We want to get them shipped out to you today. And so I gave them all of our information. And then once the box arrived and I realized there were refrigerated medications, I was like, oh crap. We're going to need these in Phoenix. How do I get them to Phoenix? We're going to have to get them through the airport. Maybe I should have had them sent to my cousin's house. But fortunately, lots of people have to travel with refrigerated medications. And it's something that the TSA allows you to do. So I will probably upload a video later too, just about tips for traveling if you have to travel for IVF, as a lot of us in Washington do, because it's so expensive here. Oh, the other thing I was going to say too is part of the reason these medications are so expensive is that they're all injectables, and a lot more rigor and control has to go into keeping these medications sterile as they're being produced. And so just in general, injectable medications are more expensive than oral medications that you would normally get from your pharmacy. And so that's part of what makes this so expensive. So thank you for following with us on our journey. If you found this interesting or helpful, please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.